I'm equally excited and terrified to talk about this topic today because I'm pretty sure I could lose some friends talking about this. Even, honestly, Heidi, our family members.
Welcome to Trust Yourself.
Okay, well, we are going to talk about psychics, mediums, and intuitives. And
yes.
I mean, love them or hate them, psychics and mediums have been around for ages. I am a huge fan of Teresa Caputo. If you don't know her, the Long Island medium. She's the one that has the big hair, and she's like, the bigger the hair, the closer to God. I think that's how she does it.
Except for Long Island accent's a little bit different, but I can't do it either, so I'm not going to try.
We've already established that I'm
Your
not
accents
good at
are poor.
accents.
We for sure established this. If you don't know, go to episode 3. 2? If you don't know, go to episode
2. I'm embarrassed. All right. So I love Teresa Caputo. I also love Tyler Henry, the sweet, forever young psychic. He does readings for celebrities. But today we're going to talk about the difference between intuition, psychics, mediums, and why these are not just special gifts. I mean, Teresa and Tyler, yes, they're special, but everyone is. These quote unquote gifts are actually innate abilities that we are all born with. So you were born intuitive. You just forgot how to trust it in a world that profits off your doubt. But now Teresa and Tyler are profiting off of others' doubt. So interesting.
So which road do you want to be on?
I know. I will say though, I'm like really, really excited. I'm equally excited and terrified to talk about this topic today because I'm pretty sure I could lose some friends talking about this. Even honestly, Heidi, our family members, just talking about these gifts. And I'm gonna put my big girl pants on today, and I'm gonna be honest and talk about, my gifts and what that has brought me today. But deep down, like I truly, truly believe that everyone has the ability to tap into intuitive, divine information, to gain knowledge on things that, or people that you don't even know. And I've seen so much that I just can't deny it anymore, right? And for the past couple of years, both Heidi and I have been really working on this and kind of in the background, right? Like I don't really tell my friends, hey, guess what? I just got a message from your grandma.
No, I tell everybody everything all the time.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're different.
Yes. No. I'm like, hey, do you want a tarot reading? I just met you.
I love it. I wish I could. I don't know, but I do think that amazing things can happen when, again, you suspend disbelief just for this moment, and it can be super liberating in ways that you don't even realize. So this episode might be a little long, but I've got so much I want to talk about.
So if this turns into a 2-parter, buckle up, guys. Here we go.
It's twice as juicy, twice as worth it. All right. So first, let's just start with the specifics. So I'll talk about intuition, outtuition, which you might not have heard before, psychics, and mediums. So Intuition is essentially our internal guidance system. It's an inner knowing beyond logic. It's picking up on energetic frequencies around you. So the idea that we are swimming in an energetic soup, if you will.
I like that.
Right. I think Fleur coined that term. Fleur Lusink, the medium that I worked with, she's amazing. She talked about energetic soup. It's kind of gross, but it totally makes sense. Like
the visual that I like.
The visual is there. It's very strong.
Yes.
But there's an understanding, even in science, that thoughts are literally frequencies and thoughts can be measured as energy. So anytime you think something or you're around someone, you are emitting a frequency, you're emitting energy. Your heart is emitting a frequency that can be read in, what is it, Heidi, the EKG?
EKGs.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
you got it.
But yeah, we're swimming around in this energy and it can be received and transmitted through our bodies. And so intuition is when we are getting those messages that are meant for ourselves that can guide us on our most aligned path. Sometimes we ignore it. Sometimes we don't. And then outtuition, this is another fleur-le-cinq term. I love it. So outtuition is when you get messages, you're receiving messages and information that are meant for others. So not for you, but for someone else. So for example, you're walking past someone on the bus stop and you just feel really sad, or you get this urge to say like, hey, I love your dress today or something. And that's just the thing they needed to hear. You received information about this person that you don't even know, but that you knew you needed to deliver that message. And maybe it just made their day. That's all they needed. And then there's psychics and mediums and psychic mediums.
Yeah, explain the difference, please. I'm always like, what's the difference between a psychic and a medium?
A psychic is someone that has honed their outtuition, and they receive information for others. Maybe even for themselves too, but mainly for others. And it could be about potential future events or opportunities that we could choose to take. So remember, again, in one of our previous episodes, Heidi talked about the chicks.
The chicks.
Yeah.
How the universe works and rearranges itself. So you can take any path and you'll always get to where you need to be.
Right. So things can change. We have free will. I truly believe we have free will. And so you can go one direction and then that could change your future, or you could go a different direction and that could be a different path, but maybe somehow in the long run, you're still going where you're supposed to be going. But this is why I think sometimes psychics get a bad rep, because maybe they give you information, but it doesn't turn out to be true because perhaps you changed the path you were going on, or you made a different decision. You didn't act in ways that you always typically would act. So psychics are potentially looking at future-based information. Mediums, these are people that have honed the ability to tap into the other side, if you will, the spirits, loved ones, and giving messages from those who have passed to those who are still living on earth. And sometimes, I would say, sometimes they could even receive those messages for themselves. And sometimes that may look like actually seeing someone, but usually it's just a feeling or a knowing, or I have this message, I have something inside my brain, something inside my head told me I need to tell you this. But then there's psychic mediums that they do both. So they could predict the future. They can talk to dead people. They can talk to people that have moved on. I think though, out of all of these abilities, I think intuition still seems to be universally accepted, even if people still don't understand it. But we all have had that time once when we just have like an inner knowing. We just know something. And I do think that all of these things, psychics, mediums, intuitive, psychic mediums, I'm sure there's other things too, but they're all encompassing, and everyone has that same gift. And it's just how we choose to listen and tap in. So intuition, again, because it's a little bit more universally accepted, it can show up across cultures, professions, spiritual and religious beliefs. For example, you can be a CEO, you can be a surgeon, you can be an artist, you can be an architect, parents. We all get these inner signals that sometimes we just call it instinct. We call it a knowing or a vibe, right? We call it whatever we want. It's our intuition. It's there. So yes, if you're afraid of the word intuitive or psychic, it's just a word. Don't be afraid of it. Just be open. So
it's energy,
right? It may seem magical, yet at its core, it's an energetic message that we receive and we carry through our nervous system. So it's absolutely not anti-science. Sorry, family who loves science. I don't think it's anti-science, but quite literally, we've got that gut feeling. And yep, we all get the gut feeling, like you can feel it in your stomach. That's our vagus nerve. It's connecting our brain to our gut, and it tells us when something feels off. And then you've got the basal ganglia in the brain, which helps contribute to decision making. And that is scientifically shown to process intuitive decisions faster than conscious thought, which is usually why people say, just go with your first thought, go with your gut feeling. Like when you're taking a test, don't erase, don't change your answer. Your first thought was probably right.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. When I was in nursing school, the very first exam that I had, I failed it because I changed I changed probably 80% of my answers after I first originally did it. And then I went and I had to like talk to my teacher afterwards. And she was like, every single time that she was going through it, I was like, yeah, I was going to pick that one. And then I changed my mind. And then at the end of it, she was like, you know what, Heidi, with the next exam, how about you just don't change any of your answers? And from then on, I never changed any of my answers. And I passed every single one of my exams after that.
Prime frickin' example right there. Yes. And that's not your fault. I mean, we live in this world where intuition and instinct is kind of brushed off as this whimsical thing. And so we tend to ignore these intuitive hits. And then we wait for our logical brains to provide us with, reasonable solutions based off of previous experiences or things like that. So yeah, we're in a noisy frickin' world that's always telling us, like women especially, to be reasonable. So that's why I think listening to your intuition is kind of that permission slip to ignore that bullshit and trust yourself again. Like, no, we don't have to be reasonable. I'm listening to my intuition.
Yeah. You don't always have to have a reason for your choices. Sometimes just the feeling is enough. And I think, I don't know, I saw a quote the other day, but I don't remember it, so I can't say it. But it was like basically saying you don't need to explain your feelings or anything to anybody. It's like if you outgrow something or someone or some situation, just saying like, I've outgrown this and I don't want this for me anymore is good enough.
I love that. So how do we receive this intuitive and outuitive information? It's definitely different for everyone. It's commonly explained through clairs. So the first clair is claircognizance. It is a clear knowing. So for example, a thought out of nowhere just drops in your head. And it's just this, oh, okay, I have to go call my sister, for example, but it's non-sequential. So it's not something you were thinking of before. Or for example, I'm like taking a walk and I see a dog that reminds me of my sister's dog. And then that reminded me, oh, I have to call my sister. No, it's just like, oh, I'm folding laundry and out of nowhere, oh, I've got to call my sister. And guess what? She just was thinking about me, or she was like, I needed this. Thank you. And then there's clairaudience. There's clear hearing. Now, this is where you can hear a word or a phrase, or maybe you hear music or just this kind of melody in your head. And it's calm and it's clear. Sometimes it sounds like your voice. Maybe it sounds like somebody else's voice. But I will add a caveat here. So I am aware there are neurological disorders such as bipolar disorder and schizophrenia that should not be ignored or confused here. Again, we are not doctors. Don't listen to us, but just
don't come for us.
Please just keep this in mind. But the way I understand it is that the key difference here is that, with bipolar and schizophrenia, these voices can tend to be maybe incoherent or very negative and fear-inducing. Whereas when you get clairaudience as an intuitive hit, it's very calm and maybe again sounds like your voice, and it's just kind of giving you information that does not induce fear. It just feels right. Then there's clairvoyance, clear seeing. This is fun. There's visuals, symbols, mental images. These can show up suddenly out of nowhere. I know, Heidi, you have a lot of clairvoyance, I feel like.
I don't get it as much. I feel like I'm more claircognizant, and then recently I've been a little more clairaudient, but definitely claircognizant for sure. But it is fun when it happens when you have like the clairvoyance and the clear seeing, because like I'll just get this crazy image in my head and I'll call you and I'll be like, oh my God, guess what I just saw.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes they can, predict the future event, or they can just be something that is a symbol that is meant for you to know, like, oh, I'm on the right path, or this is something I need to look for in my life. Clairsentience is a clear feeling. And these are like the physical feelings, like chills, goosebumps, sensational feelings all around your body, or emotions. I really like this one. Usually when I get intuitive information, I do get goosebumps, but only on my right arm. it's like, whoop, that was an intuitive information. It's like someone standing on my right side telling me something. And I know it is because it's just my goosebumps on my right, not my left.
That's so funny.
And then there's these are fun, the clairalience and clairgustance. Sometimes people forget about these, but this is clear smelling and tasting. It can be kind of weird, right? So randomly you smell something like, oh, that's my grandma's perfume. Or randomly you will taste something that brings a memory to you or a knowing. And I had this very specifically happen to me, which I've never had clairgustance before until this one moment. And I don't think I've ever had it again after. But it was super random. Sitting outside with my friend, we were watching our kids play and she was talking about her vacation. And out of nowhere, I tasted tater tot hot dish. Yes, I live in Minnesota. It is hot dish. End of story. We're not going to keep elaborating on that.
Look it up. It's delicious.
So delicious. So this hot dish was very specific to my grandma. I called her Nanny. Nanny and Papa, they lived in a cute little German town in Minnesota. And every time we went to visit, they made tater tot hot dish. And every time Nanny asked us, what do you want to eat? Tater tot hot dish. Doesn't matter, hands down. And so this one random day, I tasted it in my mouth. I'm like, oh my God, I have to have tater tot hot dish today. And I called my mom later that day. I'm like, guess what? I didn't make it. I had my husband make it because I am a horrible cook. I'm like, guess what Sean made? We were making tater tot hot dish today. And she said, wow, that's so cool because today is Nanny's birthday. And I had no idea. And it was just such a special moment for me to realize that, I'm going to choose to believe that was a sign from my grandma because how freaking special. I just loved that.
I always find that, or at least the mindset that I've adopted is if I receive something or see something or anything comes across where I can instantly kind of connect it to something else, like it's a sign or a message or something, I am telling myself like, yes, that is what it is. If I feel like it is a sign, then it is a sign. I'm not going to let myself think about it too much or spiral and be like, no, it was probably just this, or logic my way out of it. Mm-hmm. I choose to accept signs as signs. And I think that has kind of changed my whole perspective on my intuition too, because I used to be like asking for these signs or specific things, and kind of like you, like if it wasn't very specific, then I would ask for another sign. But now I just tell myself, if I intuitively know that this is connected to what I asked for, or this is a sign, then I'm going to leave it at that. And I think that helps a lot.
100. Oh, definitely.
So Sissy apparently says 100% too much. And so she's trying to cut back on her 100% use.
100%.
No, we decided
99%.
to change it to 99%.
99%.
Let's start a trend.
All right. So here's some ways that we can more easily get in touch with our intuition, which happens when we are in the theta state. And intuition comes more easily when you're in the theta state because specifically your prefrontal cortex steps back. That's your logical thinking brain. It steps back and it lets your subconscious free to ask those what if questions or be curious, right? And there's many ways you can get into theta, but usually you get into the theta brainwave state by doing things that are calming or doing automatic tasks or repetitive tasks. So it's not just meditation. You can get into theta by doing dance, sports, music, art, folding laundry.
Folding the laundry.
Oh. Long car rides, cooking, maybe for Heidi, not for me. That gives me more anxiety.
Yeah, definitely the chopping. If you're just chopping a bunch of vegetables, it's an easy one to get into.
Yeah. What's also interesting I learned recently is that kids are in the theta state way more than adults, which makes sense, right? Like they're always
that makes sense.
Pretty intuitive. So that's
well, and they have like way less stress of like real world. They're just kind of like in their own bubble still, which is beautiful.
Yeah, they haven't been ruined by society yet. But no, there's less fear, and they're just more in that receiving state, which is pretty cool. So let's just, again, be more like a kid. But
I find like I get a lot of my intuitive hits when I'm doing bedtime with the kids. And even just like with my son Stanley, I'll just be like petting his back. And it just kind of puts me in this Zen mode. And then that's when I get a lot of things usually, which is kind of funny also because it doesn't usually happen in Margot's room. So I'm also wondering, like, obviously Stanley's room is a portal to something. And like, this is how my brain spirals. But I'm like, why do I never get these in Margot's room? But I have done it before in Margot's room, just definitely not as frequently. Stanley and I are very much more on the same wavelength, and me and Margot are a little bit different. And so it's probably just like a little bit of that energetic interference. And I'm kind of fighting through that, not fighting through, swimming through the soup, as you will.
Yes.
And then like with Stan, we're just like in the river together. And so it's like easier for things to flow.
yeah, I have done some intuitive and mediumship readings for people. I know this sounds weird, family who's never heard this before, but yes, I do it. And there are times when information just flows and pours, and you get so many amazing hits. You get so much amazing information that the person receiving that information or saying, listening is saying, wow, this is so good. How did you know all of this? I'm like, I don't know. It's just coming. And then there are times when I have someone that's sitting with me that you can tell they're a little bit tense or nervous about this. And therefore I feel like their energetic field is smaller and it's harder to receive information from them. It's not,
it feels more like pulling it, like you're like trying to pull it out from them as opposed to it just flowing freely.
Right.
I've experienced that too. So like when we've done it together with readings too. So it definitely helps if you are one who ever wants to get a reading to come to it with a completely open mind, open heart, and open yourself up to let the energy flow, because it really does affect the reading, not in a negative way. It's not that you can't get anything. It's just a little bit harder, I think.
Well, and I mean, as someone doing the reading too, you need to have trust in yourself, which is what I'm still working on, because I'm scared to even say it. I'm scared. This is my first time saying it out loud. Like, I've done intuitive readings. Ta-da. It's scary to say.
And guess what? You're still okay.
I'm okay. So when I was practicing, when I was just starting out and realizing that, again, these gifts are for everyone, I practiced a lot I practiced with strangers, but I also practiced with my family, which was kind of hard to do because I feel like I already know my family so well. So I did one specific practice with my husband, which was so cool. I tried to get into a Theta state by meditating, and I specifically asked to get information that only someone from the other side would know from Sean, that I would not know, because he's obviously lived an entire life before me. So there should be something that only he knows, not me. So the first thing that came into my mind, I saw images of an old car with leather seats. And I'm like, okay, well, this has to be your grandpa because I know that he gave you a car. And I'm like, come on, spirits. I already know this. Give me something more.
Give me a signier sign.
I need a signier sign. And so I'm looking at the car, and I'm in my mind, I'm zooming into the back seat. And in the back seat, I see this black hole in the leather, and it looks like the leather is burnt. And I told Sean that, and he's like, I'm listening. And he's like, how did that burn get there? And before he even said that, as soon as he was saying like how, I instantly saw this figure in the front seat flick something out the window and get sucked back in the back window, and it landed on the seat. And I'm like, oh, looks like somebody was smoking and threw it out the window and it landed in the back seat. And his jaw dropped. He's like, that was me. How did you know that? He said he felt so bad that happened because it was his grandpa's car and he didn't want to, he didn't want to destroy it, but it was an accident. And what I saw was that his grandpa, who I've never met, by the way, I've never met his grandpa. He passed before we started dating, and he was just laughing, like hysterically, joyfully laughing in my head. And I'm like, well, Sean, I don't think he's mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think everything's okay. But from that moment on, I think that's when I really started to trust this and believe that, oh my gosh, I can do this too. I can be a Teresa Caputo.
Yeah, I think that when you first told me that story too, I was like, okay, Sissy, so read me. Let's do all the readings. Let's dive deeper. And I want you to do this every single time we're together.
Yeah.
And I kind of have made you do it every time we've been together since.
It's fun. It's good to practice, but that's the other thing, is that this definitely gets stronger. Intuition gets stronger the more you trust it.
I think one of the best quotes that we heard from psychics, but also just other people in general, is suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
And that has helped me, and I know you as well, just being like, you know what, we're just going to accept this as it is what it is, and we're going to suspend disbelief. And we just put together a trust pack, which is super exciting. It is available on our website, and we'll have the links in the show notes. But it's a bunch of small lessons, like 20-minute lessons, very bite-sized, but also PDFs with worksheets and meditations, all available for you to start tapping into your intuition and start to train yourself and get connected. So the trust pack, available up on our website. Links are in the show notes.
Yay. And then before we forget, let's do our tarot for the day.
All right. So what is the energy of us for this week? What do we need to focus on? Maybe what are our blocks? Just trying to see what comes through here for this week. All right. All right, we got the Four of Shells, which is equivalent to the Four of Cups. This is all about soul searching and re-evaluation. The picture on this card is a beautiful stork, but it's very much a calm, quiet, reflective card. And it's just, to me, it's calling back all of our energy too, and really, really collecting and gathering and focusing inward. And maybe that means start working on your intuition as well. Interesting.
I like it.
All right, let me just grab an oracle card too. Ooh, it flew.
Ooh.
All right, my Moonology Oracle deck. Meditate and contemplate, new moon in Pisces. So very emotional, very reflective. I think this is a really big week for us all collectively to really just take a step back, not to be so critical, not to be so hard on ourselves, and just really suspend disbelief. Use that as your mantra this week. Suspend disbelief, soften, and receive.
Yay, I love it. Until next time, it's your move, sis.
Make it count.
Bye.
Bye.